Okay, so take three. Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, so have you asked yourself how much of each nutrient and how many calories should you consume? And which types of food supplies and which nutrients? How much of vitamins and minerals is considered adequate? And how much will it take to reach toxicity level? Okay, so for today and on this video, let me introduce to you the standards of nutrient recommendations. Okay, so what are nutrient recommendations? Okay, so nutrient recommendations are sets of standards against which people's nutrient and energy intakes can be measured. Nutrition experts use the recommendations to assess intakes and to offer advice on amounts to consume. Individuals may use them to decide how much of a nutrient they need and how much is too much. Okay, so there are actually two nutrient recommendations that I would like to introduce to you. We have the one moment. We have the daily recommended intakes and we have the daily values. Okay, so when we say daily recommended intakes, okay, so this is the standards used in the United States and Canada, and from there they formed a committee of nutrition experts from the two countries that and this committee develops, publishes, and updates the DRI. Okay, so the DRI committee has set values for all of the vitamins and minerals as well as for carbohydrates, fiber, lipids, protein, water, and energy. Okay. On the other hand, your daily values is another set of nutrient standards and is practical for making comparisons among packaged foods. Okay, so this one is actually used on food labels. All right. So those are the two standards. So, okay, so for the daily recommended intakes, it has included five sets of values. So first um, we have daily recommended dietary allowance, and then the adequate intakes, and then the tolerable upper intake levels, or the UL, and then we have the estimated average requirements, or the EAR, and then we have the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges, or AMDR. Okay, so each of these reference values has a specific purpose and represents a level of intake. Nutrients have either an RDA or an AI, but not all of the nutrients have an established tolerable upper intake levels, or the UL. Okay. Okay, so first is your estimated average requirement. Okay, so these are nutrient intake values that are estimated to meet the requirements of half the healthy individuals in a group. The EAR are used to assess adequacy of intakes of population groups. Okay, so what happens? Okay, so what happens if when if everybody in the whole population eats the estimated average requirement, so half. Okay, so the answer is that over time, half of the population is well nourished. Okay, so this part of the population will be well nourished, while the other half will be deficient. Okay, so it's not a good idea for experts to recommend the EAR. Okay, so what happened was that your EAR became the basis of your recommended dietary allowance. Okay, which is this one. Okay, so your recommended dietary allowance is our levels of essential nutrient intake judged to be the adequate amount to meet the known nutrient needs of practically all 98% of healthy people while decreasing the risk of chronic diseases. Okay, so if you can remember, this is where your EAR is. So what the experts did is that they increase the amount to by two standard deviations so that it will be 98%. So around here, okay? So that 98% of the whole population will be well nourished, okay? And the good thing about your RDA is that it forms the indisputable bedrock of the DRI recommended intakes because they derive from solid experimental evidence and reliable observations. And they are expected to meet the needs of almost all healthy individuals. Okay. Okay, so we are now in the adequate intake. Okay, so when we say adequate intake, these are tentative RDAs or AIs are based on less conclusive scientific information than our RDAs. Okay, so it's like an educated guess, okay, of the right amount of nutrition. So if no RDAs can be formulated, um, our scientist or the committee would use your adequate intake. Okay, so whenever the DRI committee find insufficient evidence to generate an RDA, they establish an AI value instead. Okay, next is we have the tolerable upper intake levels or the ULs. Okay, so your ULs uh, is the highest average daily nutrient intake level that is likely to pose no risk of toxicity to almost all healthy individuals of particular life stage and gender group. Okay, these are upper limits of nutrient intakes compatible with health. The ULs do not reflect desired levels of intake, rather, they represent total daily levels of nutrient intake from food, fortified foods, and supplements that should not be exceeded. Okay, so the main purpose here of your ULs is actually safety, so that you will not be taking nutrients in an excessive level. Okay, so this is particularly important for people who are actually taking vitamins and minerals or those or other supplements. Okay, so uh, this could be used as a guide for them. And then we have the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. Okay, so acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges values for carbohydrate, fat, and protein expressed as percentages. And then we have the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. Okay, so your AMDR values for carbohydrate, fat, and protein is expressed as percentages of total daily caloric intake, ranges of intake set for the energy building nutrients that are sufficient to provide adequate total energy and nutrients while minimizing the risk of chronic diseases. Okay, so that's it. And so what are the DRIs for? Okay, so here are the purposes of your DRIs. Okay, DRIs are used by scientists and nutritionists who work in research or academic settings and by dietitians who plan menus for specific populations, such as your elderly feeding programs, schools, prisons, hospitals, and nursing homes, and military feeding programs. They are also used to assess adequacy of an individual's intake by comparing estimated intake with estimated requirements. Okay. However, this DRI cannot be used as a teaching tool. Okay, because when you eat food, you cannot actually count the nutrients there. Okay, so it's not suitable for as a teaching tool. Okay. And furthermore, to be specific, here are the purposes of your DRI. We have for RDA, okay, it is for your adequacy. Okay, so to ensure that you are adequately taking a nutrient. For AIs, it's the same adequacy. And then for UL, it's for your safety, okay, so that you won't be taking too much of a nutrient. And then we have the EAR, so it's for research and policy. And then we have the AMDR, um, it gives you the helpful ranges for energy yielding nutrients. Okay, so what then are the implications of your DRI? Okay, if you meet your UL range or you exceed the UL, okay, so consuming nutrients in this range can be toxic and negatively affect your health. If you meet the RDA or AI range, consuming these nutrients in this range will allow you to meet your needs. So this is a good thing if you meet your RDA. However, if you do not take enough nutrient, what will happen is that you will be this can chronically lead you to poor health. Okay, So now we are done with the DRIs. Let's now proceed with food labels. Okay, so every packaged product has to contain food labels. Okay, so that is required actually. Unlike your fresh fruits or your fresh produce, like fresh fruits and your raw vegetables, it wouldn't require like a food label because you cannot really argue if a potato is really a potato, right? Oh, but if we're talking here about like a bag of chips or your potato chips, of course you would want to know what is in that chips. Okay, you would want to know. You would want to be to have like an informed choice, or you would want to at least know what the risk you are taking the moment you eat those bag of chips. Okay, so um, your food label must include the following. Okay, so here's the list. Okay, so first is that we have the common or usual name of the product. Okay, so this is the common or the usual name of the product. And then we have the name, address of the manufacturer, packer, or distributor. Okay, so it's located right here. And then we have the net content in terms of weight, measure, or count. Okay, so it's located right there. And then we have the nutrient contents of the product or your nutrition facts panel. Okay, so this one, this part here. And then we have the ingredients in descending order of predominance by weight in ordinary language. Okay, so it's located below your nutrition facts panel. And then essential warnings, okay, such as alerts about the ingredients that often cause allergic reactions or other problems. Okay, like for instance, if a particular product has peanuts, of course the consumers has to be alarmed. Okay, because there are people who are actually allergic to peanuts. Okay, so at this point I would like to elaborate more on your nutrition facts panel. Okay, so this is your nutrition facts panel right here. Okay. So it has also several parts and I will just enumerate them one by one. Okay, so first is we have the servings per container. So it's right here. Okay, so it is the number of servings per box, can, or package. And then we have the calories or the calories from fats, which is located here. So this is the calories and this is the calories per fat. Okay. So that is the total food energy per serving and energy from from fat per serving. So let me just close this up. Okay, so the thing about the nutrition facts is that everything hinges on your serving size. Okay, so with this one, the serving size is 3/4 cup. Okay, so the moment you eat more than or above the serving size, you would have to the calories will also change right here. So for instance, if you're eating like 1.5 cup, okay, so that is times two of the serving size, then you will also have to multiply the calories by two. So if you ate two serving sizes, then you will be consuming like 220 kilocalories of that food. Okay, and also the other values would also change, like the calories from fat you have to multiply by that by 2, so that would already be 18. And also the percent daily values. Okay, so this one, the total fat will become like 4%, the sodium will be 20%. Okay, so this is actually based on the 2000 kilocalorie diet. Okay, so like 40 kilocalories would be considered low, and 100 kilocalories would be moderate, and your 400 would be considered high. Okay, so this particular food is moderate in calories. Okay, also, your food nutrition facts panel would contain the nutrient amounts and percentages of daily values. Okay, so which would include the total fat. Okay, so there is the total fat or the grams of fat per serving with a breakdown showing grams of saturated fat and trans fat per serving. Okay, so let's close that up. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so this section right here, the total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium has the nutrients that should be minimized. Okay, so a daily value of that is 2%, or I mean a daily value of 5% or less is considered low. Okay, for your saturated fat and your sodium and your cholesterol, and 20% or more is considered high. So if, for instance, the cholesterol content, or the sodium content of your product is like 20%, that is already considered high. Okay, so you should be informed of that, that you shouldn't be taking more than the 20%, because that is already considered high. And like for instance, if you are like taking, or you are eating like two servings of this, then you already have like 20% of the daily value. Okay, so which is already considered high. Okay, so your goal there is that to keep the total percent of daily value below 100%. Okay, so packaged foods must list your trans fat, because trans fats are created. Oh, I mean, okay. So this part here, okay, contains the nutrients, or the. Okay, so this part here, this total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium. Okay, so this is like the first part right here, contains the nutrients that should be minimized. Okay, so like this one, 8% daily value of 5% or less is low, and 20% or more is considered high. Okay, so like for instance, with this one, this is still like this is considered like your 2% is considered low, but the moment you will. Okay, from the top. Okay, so this is the closer look of your nutrition facts panel. Okay, so right here, so the first part here is are the nutrients that you should minimize. Okay, so we have the total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and then your sodium. Okay, so a percent daily value of 5% or less. Okay, so let's say 5% of your total fat is considered low, and 20% or more is considered high. Okay, so when adding the percent daily value from all foods eaten in one day, the goal is to keep the total below 100%. Okay, so packaged foods must list your trans fat content. Okay, so with this one, there is actually zero trans fat. Okay, actually, just for the definition. Okay, so trans fats are created when such unsaturated oils are hydrogenated to create a solid form, and are used in frying foods, margarine, and many snack products. Okay, so they are also present in meat and dairy products, and has those nutrients that should be minimized. Okay, so okay, and just for the record, okay, so your trans fats are created when unsaturated oils are hydrogenated to create solid form, and are used in frying foods such as margarine, and many uh, snack products. Okay, they are also present in meat and dairy products. Okay, and trans fats have been shown to increase cholesterol and contribute to heart disease. Okay, so the lower the trans fat, the better. Okay, with this one, it's 0 grams trans fat, so this is a good food. This one could. Okay, so with this one, it contains zero trans fat. Okay, so which is good. Okay, so the next part of your okay, so again, it contains the cholesterol, the milligrams, and then the sodium, and then the total carbohydrates. Okay, so right here will see that total carbohydrates. It's the grams of carbohydrates per serving, including starch, fiber, and sugars, with a breakdown showing grams of dietary fiber and sugars. The sugars included those that occur naturally in food, plus any added during processing. Okay, Okay, so this is your total carbohydrates part, or it you so okay, so this is your total carbohydrates part, or it includes, or okay, so okay, so this part here includes fiber, vitamins, and minerals commonly insufficient in our diets. Okay, so okay, so after the so after okay, so after the nutrients that you need to minimize, okay, so that was the total fat, cholesterol, and sodium. We have the next part, which is the the nutrients that we need to increase on. Okay, so these are the actual okay, so after your nutrients that you need to minimize on, we have the nutrients that we should okay, so after the nutrients that you should minimize on, we have the nutrients that we need to have enough of. Okay, so in here, in this section, in this particular section, it will include your fiber. Okay, so with this one, it has fiber, vitamins and minerals, and your sugar. Okay, and with this one, it also has the protein. Okay, so when adding the percent values from all foods eaten in one day, the goal is for the total dv of each of these to be at least 100%. Okay, so if you like eat one serving of this, you will already have like 8% of the daily value of your carbohydrates. Okay. Okay, so and the last one, we have the protein. Okay, so that will contain the grams of protein per serving. Okay, so also included on the nutrition facts panel are um, the nutrient amounts and percentages of daily values, which includes your total fat. Okay, that is the grams of fat per serving, with a breakdown showing um, grams of saturated fat and trans fat per serving. Okay, so it's located right here, the total fat. And then we have the cholesterol. Okay, so it's the milligrams of cholesterol per serving. And then we have the sodium. Okay, so it is the milligrams of sodium per serving. Your total carbohydrates, okay, with this one, grams of carbohydrate per serving, which includes your starch, your fiber, and then your sugars, with a breakdown showing grams of dietary fiber and sugars. Okay, that like the one located here, and then plus any added during processing. And then we have the protein, or the grams of protein per serving. And then finally, the other nutrients present in significant amounts in the food may also be listed on the label. Okay, so let me just give you a close up of this one. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this part here, okay, so the first part, the total fat, the cholesterol, and the sodium. Okay, so this is the part that, or these are the nutrients that you should minimize. Okay, so with the nutrients that you need to minimize, a percent daily value of 5% or less is considered low, and 20% or more is considered high. Okay, so when adding the percent of daily value from all foods eaten in one day, the goal is to keep the total below 100%. Okay, so that is with the nutrients that you need to minimize. Okay, so like for this one, okay, so the total fat is 2%, which is considered below, okay, or less, or low. Okay, so it's low. Um, the sodium is around 10%. Okay, so if you eat two servings of this, so if you eat 1.5 cup, you will already be eating 20% of sodium. Okay, so that will be already considered high. Okay, so Okay, so your packaged food also has to contain the amount of trans fat. Okay, so trans fats are actually trans fats are created when unsaturated oils are hydrogenated to create a solid form and are used in frying foods. Okay, like your margarine and many other snack products. Okay, so they are also present in meat and your dairy fats. Okay, so we should minimize on trans fat. Okay, so the lesser the better. Okay, so like this one, it has 0 grams of trans fat, which is a good thing, right? So this part here, okay, so starting from the total carbohydrates and then your diet and then your proteins. Okay, so this is the part, or this is the nutrients that you should consume in adequate amounts. Okay, so with the nutrients here, like the second part, we have the total carbohydrates and then the protein, and if there are vitamins and minerals. Okay, so these are actually the nutrients that you should be taking in adequate amounts. Okay, so when adding the percent values from all foods with these nutrients eaten in one day, the goal is for the total daily value of each of these to be at least 100%. Okay, so like for instance, if you have eaten one serving of this product, so you already have like the 8% of the daily value that you need for this particular nutrient. Okay, and another content of your nutrition facts panel are, okay, the daily values and calories per gram reminder. The percent daily value stated on the label may underestimate or overestimate the contribution to an individual's diet depending on how many calories the individual actually needs. Okay, like um, for people who need fewer than 2,000 calories daily, such as most women and your elderly men, the percent daily value listed on the label actually underestimates, okay, the contribution a serving makes to the total needed daily, okay? And on the other hand, okay, for young active men, okay, so they need actually more than 2,000 calories a day, the percent daily value may overestimate the actual contribution. Okay, so while this one does not take into considerations the variability of our caloric needs, you can still use this as like a point of reference from which you can adjust your diet. Okay, and then finally, okay, so the last on your list, or the last on the food nutrition facts panel, is your ingredients list. Okay, so the ingredients are listed in descending order by weight. Okay, so that is your ingredients list. Okay, although it's a bit pixelated. Okay, but the ingredients are listed in descending order by weight. Okay, so the further down the list and items appears, the less of that ingredients is in the product. Okay, so knowing how to read on the ingredients list puts you many steps ahead of a naive buyer. Okay, so anyone diagnosed with a food allergy can quickly learn to use this list for spotting off limits ingredients in foods. In addition, you can have an idea of the nature of the food. Like for instance, if you have to compare two orange juices. Okay, so let's say an orange drink powder. Okay, so from the first three ingredients, if you will look at the ingredients list, you can see sugar, citric acid, and then the orange flavor. Okay, so with that, you can already know that the chief ingredient of that particular orange juice is sugar. Okay, and then you will consider another product, let's say a canned juice. Okay, whose ingredients list begins with water, okay? And then orange juice concentrate, and then pineapple juice concentrate. Okay, so this product, okay, in particular, clearly made clearly made of reconstituted juice, okay? So since water is first on the list of the label, water is first on the list of the label because it is the main constituent of the juice, and sugar is nowhere to be found among the ingredients because no sugar has been added, and sugar occurs naturally in juice, so it didn't actually need sugar. Okay, so with that, you can have an informed choice as to the kind of product that you are going to buy through by reading your ingredients list. Okay. Okay, such valid appearing but unreliable structure and function claims diminish the credibility of all health-related claims on labels. Okay, so in the world of marketing, current label laws put the consumer on notice. Okay, so like this one, it says the statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. Okay, so at least it is for the consumers to be alarmed, okay, or to be aware. Okay, so here are the definition of terms used in nutrient claims. Okay, we have free, so it means the product contains virtually none of the nutrient. Free can refer to like free calories, free sugar, free of sodium, salt, or saturated fats and cholesterol. Low, okay, so means that there is small amount, enough amount of a nutrient that the product can be used frequently without concern about exceeding dietary recommendation. Okay, like low fat milk. Okay, and then very low, it refers to sodium only. Okay, so the product cannot have more than 30 milligrams of sodium per serving, and then reduced or less. Okay, so it means that the product has at least 25% reduction in a nutrient compared to a regular product. And then like reduced sugar or less sugar. And then light means that the product has fewer calories than a comparable product, or 50% of the fat found in a comparable product. And then we have good source. Okay, so like a good source of fiber means that the product provides 10% to 90% of the daily value for a nutrient. Then we have high rich in or excellent source. It means that the product has at least 20% of the daily values for a nutrient. More means that the product has at least 10% of a desirable nutrient than does a comparable product. And then lean, it means refers to the meat or poultry products with less than 10 grams fat, less than 4 grams saturated fat, and less than 95% milligrams cholesterol per standardized serving and per 100 grams. And then we have extra lean. Okay, it refers to the meat or poultry products with less than 5 grams, okay, less than 2 grams saturated fat, and less than 95 milligrams cholesterol per standardized serving and per 100 grams. Okay, so these nutrient claims are actually very valuable if you're trying to be conscious about what you buy. Okay, so and lastly, okay, so lastly, this is what your manufacturer. Okay, and lastly, okay, so this may be included by your manufacturer. Okay, so this is called the front of a package shortcut. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, so this is done by your manufacturer because some consumers find the detailed nutrition facts panel on food labels to be daunting. Okay, so for them, an easy to read icon of abbreviated data on the front package would make it easy and quick to grasp the most important nutrient information and speed comparisons among packaged foods. Okay, so this is for the convenience of the consumers. Okay, so this is why your manufacturers would are already doing this. Okay, so I guess that's it for food labels, and that ends my discussion for today. I mean, for this concept. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you did took notes, and I hope that you really did watch this video. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time. Bye bye. Okay, so once again, those are the components that should be included in your food label. Okay, however, manufacturers will often add, Okay, so other components in order to lure you, okay, to lure you to buy a particular packaged food. Okay, so first is we have the nutrient claim, and then the health claim, and then the structure claim. Okay, so what are these claims? Okay, so for the nutrient claim, okay, so it's a claim that expressly or implicitly characterizes the nutrient level of a food. Okay, okay, so it this one is reliable, the nutrient claims. Okay, so a food that meets specified criteria may display certain approved nutrient claims on its label. Okay, so with this one it says 50% less sodium. Okay, that is what it is claiming. Okay, so um it can also, so other, okay, so other examples for that would be that the food is low in cholesterol, or a food is good source of vitamin A. Okay, so these are based on the daily values. Okay, so these are based on the daily values and therefore considered a reliable information. Okay, the next one is your health claims. Okay, so the example we have here is that oatmeal can help reduce cholesterol. Okay, so that is your health claim. Okay, so it characterizes the relationship of a food to a disease or health related condition. And this one can be reliable and not so reliable. Okay, and so why is that? Okay, you might want to ask. Okay, so in the past, the FDA held manufacturers to the highest standards of scientific evidence before allowing them to place health claims on food labels. Okay, so when a label states diet low in sodium and may reduce the risk of high blood pressure, for example, consumers could be sure that the FDA had substantial scientific support for the claim. However, today the FDA also allows similar sounding health claims that are backed by weaker evidence. Okay, so these are qualified claims in the sense that labels bearing them must also state the strength of the scientific evidence backing them up. Okay, however, the unfortunate thing is that us consumers cannot distinguish between scientifically reliable claims and those that are less so. Okay, so that is why with health claims it can be considered reliable and not so reliable. Okay, so at the very least, at least they are providing scientific evidence, even if these are not so these are not so strong scientific evidences. Okay, whereas your structure claims, okay, so this is an example of your structure claim. Okay, it says supports immunity and digestive health. Okay, so it's a role of a nutrient or dietary ingredient intended to affect the structure or function of humans. Okay, and with this one it is best ignored. Okay, printing a health claim involves acquiring FDA permission. Okay, so with this one, so it's a bit expensive and time consuming. So what your manufacturer will do is that um, the manufacturer can print a similar looking structure function claim that requires only FDA notification and no prior approval. Okay, so the problem here is that if you are a consumer, the two kinds of claim may seem identical. Okay, like for instance, you have lower cholesterol. Okay, that is your FDA approved health claim. Okay, but a structure claim can sound similar. Like for instance, helps maintain normal cholesterol levels. Okay, so diba, it sounds the same with the lowest cholesterol. Okay,